Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Friday, June 23rd, 2017. It is partly sunny right now, but don't let this confuse you. Within an hour or two it will be raining, and it will rain through the day, tonight, and into tomorrow. Okay? They're saying heavy rain coming, but right now I'm not getting wet, and that's what counts. In today's video, we're going to be talking about eBay messages not getting through again. We're going to be talking about issues printing labels, the Hall of Shame is back, as well as quite a few other eBay topics that I think and hope you guys will find helpful. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off, as we always do, discussing your comments from last week. And there were quite a few good comments, and I'd like to discuss some of them now and answer some of the questions you guys put forth. First of all, I would like to start with Lowball Offers, and Rubber Wilbur stated this: when a buyer asks what's the lowest you can go, not only should you run, but you should block them. Buyers who ask too many questions, or even more than one question, will just give you nothing but trouble, return the item, and more likely to neg you. You will never please them. Don't give them the time of day. It's just been my experience. The reason I'm including that particular comment is because that comment received the most thumbs up of all my comments this week. His received 16 thumbs up. As I said in last week's video, when I get a person that says, what is the lowest you will go, or what is your lowest price, cut and run. I don't go through blocking people. I don't block people unless it's really somebody that's insane. Thankfully, there aren't that many of them. But I do agree that when they say, what's the lowest you will go, instead of coming out with some kind of concrete offer, no sale will ever be made. On the same topic, Skinny Cow wrote, the what's your best price or what's the least you will take are a complete waste of time. They are at best a 90% discount or never reply to your offers. I usually just reply a standard, I will accept offers from buyers, but the buyer must put forward a price and let you know. 90% never reply, and the rest always want like 90% off my asking price. Just avoid these people, eBay trolls in reality. Like I told you, I basically say to them, I cannot go any lower, try and get it locally. On feedback, Charles M. Reinhardt stated, most of my buyers never leave feedback, even after I leave it for them right after the sale. Man, it pisses me off. And a lot of people responded to him with their feelings. I get very few feedbacks myself. I'm talking like out of 10, maybe I'll get 3. So the other night, I decided to catch up on leaving feedback. And the other night, in one setting, I left 72 feedbacks because I had fallen behind. You know, it happens. Out of the 72 feedbacks, I received one feedback back. What can I tell you? I'm not in it for feedback anyway. I'm in it to make money. Feedback is just the icing on the cake, but I know a lot of you guys who are newer sellers need it. I do not pester my buyers asking them, would you please leave me feedback? During the early days, I did do that. And then there were times when I would send a letter, a little note, a thank you note saying, please leave feedback. I don't even do that anymore. Because I'm just happy if the sale goes through and the money is made. More on feedback from Robert Keyser. On eBay myself since 2000, my experience is that it depends on what you sell that affects your bad feedback returns ratio. If I may contrast Steve French with myself, I might get a negative once every 2 or 3 years, as used auto parts in the motors category just don't quite qualify for a 5. It's a used part after all. Yet Steve's woodcrafting, high quality unique items are new. It has a higher feel-good index. Also, the cost of your item, if not expensive, has less impact than several $100 return. As Joe has mentioned before in his videos, We old-timers remember when eBay was a lot like the old Wild Wild West. We learned to wait till the dust settles, that is, till you know if the buyer is satisfied before leaving feedback. Used parts are like used cars. Buyer's remorse can be high, as well as a higher failure rate in the motors category with used items. We are also prone to buyers choosing the wrong item, as some buyers don't know the part number, etc. And me, if I hurry too much, I have made the mistake of sending the wrong item. As an eBay motor seller myself, I agree with him that we do get a much higher return rate. That is why, like I just told you, I wait at least a week to leave feedback. For two reasons. I know there's some of you guys that leave immediate feedback, which is something I will never do. And the reason I will never leave immediate feedback is because quite often a person will pay for an item and 5 minutes to 2 hours later they'll want to cancel the sale because they purchased the wrong size. Do I need to leave positive feedback for a guy that didn't read the listing and wants to cancel the sale? No. Okay? So I wait a week, then everybody gets positive feedback. Now we're going to talk about the comments on returns. Robert Keyser wrote, if you don't accept returns after 30 days, the buyer cannot force a return, but he can go to PayPal and open a case, which is happening to a friend right now. In eBay, the buyer claimed he ordered the wrong transmission. Since it was past 30 days, the seller was not obligated to accept the return, and besides, he didn't have the money to refund the buyer. So the buyer went to PayPal and opened a case. There, the buyer changed his story and claimed the transmission was defective. PayPal ruled in the buyer's favor and forced my seller friend to accept the return. The buyer also left a negative feedback saying the seller would not accept the return. This brings up several good points. Here is a seller who offers 30-day returns, just like me, and gets a return after the period. All right? Now, he chose not to accept it. That's his prerogative. I have no problem with that guy not accepting the return. All right? However, the buyer was still able to neg him, and from the way I read his story, he was not able to get it removed. This is what we've been talking about the last few weeks. A lot of you guys have commented that you take 30-day returns, you will not accept the return after that, you've been negged, and you've gotten it removed. But quite frankly, there's been others that said they have not been able to. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I've asked some people in the know, and they say it will not get removed. So keep that in mind, guys. And yes, a buyer has 180 days on the PayPal end to open a case. I remember back in the days when a buyer could open a case with eBay or PayPal, but not both. Now they're doing it with both. I think it's ridiculous. Once in my life, I had a person do it three different ways. He did it with eBay, he lost. He did it with PayPal, he lost. And he did it with his credit card company, and he lost. All over the same item. That guy was a buyer from hell. And one more. No, not one more, several more. A couple of questions were written in last week that I want to answer right now. Dale Leonard wrote in, Joe, I have a customer that made a claim that item arrived partially broken. I offered them a 30-day refund on the eBay case. I'm sorry, I offered them a $30 partial refund through the eBay case. They accepted the offer. However, I got a message that partial could not be processed by PayPal. I checked my PayPal and they opened an item not as described case. My only option through PayPal was to accept the return, which I did. I have not heard back from the buyer in either eBay or PayPal. What will happen to the eBay case? Is it in limbo? Is it closed? What happens if they don't return the item? Was the buyer attempting to double dip for a refund? I have never been in such an odd situation. This all happened within one day. Yes, this is possible. A while back I had a buyer buy something, let's say for $100. And he said one of the items was not to his liking. Would I give him a 25% refund? And I agreed to it. I tried to give him a 25% refund, but it wouldn't let me, just like this man said. So I actually called up PayPal to find out why I couldn't, and it was because the buyer purchased the item with a gift card. So if the buyer bought your item with a gift card, you cannot give a partial refund from the original transaction. The only way you could give him a partial refund is to actually send him money, $25 or whatever it is, through a whole new transaction on PayPal. But if you're going to do that, make sure you and the buyer have talked about this through eBay messages, since you're protected. And as far as his question about the eBay case, it will time out after a while, but you must call eBay customer service after 30 days to get it closed in your favor. Also, be sure to tell them that you have given him a refund through PayPal if you have. Okay? Because this can still happen today. Another question from 01 Wolf. I have a question. A buyer wanted to return an item. It wasn't exactly what he was looking for, so I accepted the return. He sent the item back at his expense. When I received the item back, it was exactly as I had sent it to him, so I refunded the return shipping plus his original shipping cost. He was so happy with my return policy and ease that he tried to leave me positive feedback, and eBay would not let him. Is this an eBay policy? First time I have had this situation. Thanks. I have not had that situation. That's weird. I've had times where people have returned items to me, okay, because they bought the wrong size, didn't fit. They paid return shipping. I gave them back their original money, of course, and they still left me positive feedback. So I'm a little perplexed by your story. It's possible they have changed it, but that's the way it's always been for me. And one last comment before we get on to this week's topics. C. Johnson wrote, "Thanks for explaining the Fox News. I have watched for about 5 months or so. I never knew about the cup, but I did know you never discuss politics. Fox News did a really good thing for you." Yes, Mr. Johnson, they certainly did. So that is why you see me with the Fox News cup each week. In fact, I'll show it to you right now. Let's take a little drink. Have you noticed that in the few minutes I've been talking to you on camera, it's already totally cloudy? That's how quickly it happened. But yes, about that Fox News segment, a lot of people wrote in, especially to my email, which is crazynydriver@aol.com. And I know a lot of you guys have been victims of the same stalker I have in Michigan. He's a sick, deranged individual. And you know, not only has he attacked me and many of you eBay sellers, but he actually attacked the Fox News reporter that did the story on me, the story that I linked you to last week. He attacked that reporter so badly that the reporter had to apply for a personal protection order against this deranged stalker, and that protection order is still in effect right now as we speak. The stalker is not allowed to mention him or go near him in any way, or he can be arrested. In addition, he is the owner of a gun, and he is not allowed to have that loaded gun in his possession anymore. He had to surrender that gun. And if you think the Fox News reporter was the only victim in the media, you're incorrect, guys. Back when all this started, I did a little Ustream radio segment with one of my subscribers. Do you know he attacked that particular Ustream radio owner, and to this day continues to attack him as well as many other people? A lady on YouTube who does a segment called 1 Minute News. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. She's a really popular YouTuber. He attacked her. This guy is sick, okay? All right? You know the situation? In fact, you know what? I want to get onto the eBay section of the video, but I will drop a link. It'll be link number 1 with a whole history of what this stalker has done to myself, to many of you, to eBay, to the Fox News reporter, to the Ustream radio broadcaster, to all kinds of people all over the United States. Link number 1 will take you to that site if you want to read it. Now, let's talk about this week's eBay news. Some time ago, I made a video about eBay messages not getting through. Well, the problem is actually getting worse. There's a site called e-commerce Bytes. I don't usually talk about this site all that much because it seems to be an anti-eBay site. A lot of negativity on that site. But I will mention it this week because they have a little article about the eBay messages not getting through. If I have time, I will put that link under the stalker link below. Basically, 2 interesting stories happened that were recounted to me. One I heard yesterday on eBay radio. I'd even like to put a link to that story if I have time, but I might not. A longtime eBay seller got suspended from eBay for 7 days for contacting people outside of eBay through the eBay message system, even though he never did. So what happened is people were writing to him, asking him questions about his items, and he was answering them. And he was getting these error messages, like I told you about a few weeks ago, saying you are not allowed to conduct business off eBay. It's against policy. But yet in the body of his text, he had nothing. He had no phone number, he had no email. And this continued for a few days. All of a sudden, bang, he got a suspension notice. He's suspended for 7 days. So he calls up eBay customer service and says, why am I suspended? Look clearly at my messages and you tell me what I did wrong. And the eBay customer service reps could not tell him. They said, we don't know why. You didn't say anything in the body of your text, but we don't know what's going on. I believe it took him about 5 or 6 calls when he finally got an eBay customer rep who knew what they were talking about. And what they told him was, in his settings, in his preferences, years ago, he set his replies up to automatically include his email address. Now, I didn't even know you could do that, and most of you probably don't know. He explains it very well on the eBay radio segment. If I have time, like I said, I'll include it in link number 3 below. So that's something you guys need to look out for. I understand why eBay does not want people to take the sale off eBay. I don't have any issue or any problem with that. I actually am for that. But I don't like the way they're going about it. They're having a siege mentality, in my opinion. They're using a bot that picks up phone numbers, emails, and things like that. I think I told you a story about a month ago. If I didn't, I'll recount it real quick right now. I had a customer write to me through the eBay message system wanting to buy an item cheaper than I'm selling it for. And I said to him, I'm sorry, I can't go that low because I have to pay eBay fees and PayPal fees. That triggered off a message on my end that said you are not allowed to conduct a sale off eBay because I simply said eBay fees and PayPal fees. All right? That is wrong. We should be allowed to tell our customers why we can't go any cheaper. All right? So I reworded the message to say I can't go any cheaper because I have to pay fees without using the word eBay or PayPal, and that got through. The guy then wrote back to me and said something like, I will offer you X dollars, call me at this number. And instead of typing his number in, he used some kind of a GIF or some kind of a screenshot of a phone number. I'm not exactly sure the right terminology to use, all right? But anyway, I knew that was going to bring trouble. I said, they're going to bang him for that, all right? So, a few days go by. I hear nothing from the guy, But I myself got a letter from eBay saying, we are warning you, this is an official warning, not to take transactions off eBay. I said, of all the nerve, Jesus Christ. I called up eBay customer service on the spot. I got a good representative here in the United States. I explained to him what's happening. He looked and he said, Joe, I totally understand and I apologize. You did nothing wrong. The problem is we're trying out a new system and the bots are overly sensitive. All right? He said, we are in a growing process here. We're trying to make this work. You did nothing wrong, but your customers certainly did. I said, well, I got to be honest with you. I'm a longtime eBay seller and I'm offended. And I'll tell you right now that we could be treated this way. So he said, hang in there. We're going to improve the system. We're going to improve everything, but we don't want people taking transactions off eBay. Now, that was over a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, and as you can see, people are still having issues. When you read the e-commerce Bites article, you will see that somebody wrote in their horror story about that. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what is the ideal situation here? I agree that the transactions should not be taken off eBay between buyer and seller. Let's keep everything in-house. But when the bot triggers these warnings, instead of the warning being sent to the buyer or seller, it should be sent to someone at customer service, a human being who can actually read and see if in fact a procedural violation occurred. Then they in turn could contact either the buyer or the seller and deal with it from there. But this is definitely not the way to do it. Punishing the good people to go after a few bad apples is never the way to do things. Next topic, there was an eBay label glitch during the week. Quite a few people were affected. I was not, for the most part. I was able to print all my labels. However, there were a few times when they printed very slowly. I had that wheel that kept spinning and spinning. I had to refresh the screen and then it printed. But for the most part, I think that particular bug was worked out. Let's hope so anyway. I rarely ever have a problem printing labels. That's one thing that's always worked very well for me. Next, let's now do a cutaway. I'm going to show you a very, what I consider, bad eBay seller in the Bad eBay Sellers Hall of Shame. Okay guys, in tonight's Hall of Shame, I am going to show you one eBay seller that is violating numerous eBay policies. So let's get started. Every listing that I show you will be from the same seller. Here you can see he's using Hollander's pictures, that one and that one, which is against eBay rules and it's violating Hollander's copyright. You are not actually getting these items. These are pictures of brand new items and he is selling used items. Here he's selling Kia Optima wheel cover and I see a picture of a seat. Again here he's using Hollander's pictures. Here Hyundai Accent wheel cover, picture of a seat. Intrepid wheel cover, picture of a seat. Kia Spectra wheel cover, picture of an instrument cluster. Here's Hollander's picture again. Elantra wheel cover. Look at this, picture of part of a dashboard. Again, stealing Hollander's pictures. This doesn't even have a picture. Hollander again. Here we have Kia Rio wheel cover. Picture of an interior. Stealing Hollander's picture. Sunfire wheel cover. This is my personal favorite. Picture of a car on its side. And Kia Spectra wheel cover. Picture again of a dashboard. I just don't get it. So many policy violations, and it's all the same seller. That is this week's entry in the eBay Hall of Shame. Okay guys, that was an example of one single eBay Motors seller violating various policies, showing pictures of items that you're not even getting, that are not representative of the item you're getting, stealing Hollander's pictures, which is a copyright infringement. Somebody wrote in a couple of weeks ago, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, saying they noticed a lot of auto wrecking yards doing this exact thing. And the person that I showed you in that example is indeed an auto wrecking yard. I did not click on any of the listings because I didn't want his user ID to come up. These little Hall of Shame features are for informational purposes, not to hate on anybody. I just want you guys to learn what not to do, okay? So yeah, basically that's it right now. Let's do a brief rehash and I'll let you go for the evening. Did any of you guys have any issues this week printing labels? As I said, I really didn't. My sales this week were pretty good, though I did have a few periods where I went 8 to 10 hours without making any sales whatsoever. eBay messages not getting through, in my opinion, is very concerning. I talked about this a few weeks ago and nothing's been done about it. If any of you guys have had any first-hand experiences that, I'd really like to hear about them in the comments section below. So please address that if you would. I understand why they don't want to take business off eBay, and hey, I have no problem with that. It's a business, they have to make money. I wish they wouldn't give our contact information out after the sale either, because I think that's wrong. I'd like everything to stay on eBay throughout the duration of the sale. Also, if you have any questions you want me to answer for next week's video, just ask them, and as you can see, I will answer them. And remember, I'm Crazy New York Driver and you're not. Thanks for watching. I come out here every week and I make these videos to try and keep you guys involved in eBay. I hope the information is helpful. I am a seller friend, not a seller critic or a skeptic of any kind. Thanks for being a great audience. If you found the video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any issues, comment them below and we'll address them next week. Hope you make a lot of sales this week. Rock on and peace! Yeah! Oh yeah!